What's up, everybody? Me and Baker out here. Welcome to episode 11 of the shop build. Got some stuff coming in and some little changes here around the inside. So back inside here with Baker Dog. A few other things have happened. Obviously the electrical wasn't wrapped up, but you can see the next thing that's arrived is our fire door. So here is the jamb. That is done. We're just going with standard white. I'll probably either get a logo made or make one with our origin or something like that to put on the door. But this is a 45-minute fire door. That's the code needed, I believe, for this threshold. So a couple things need to happen. One, they need to fill in just with some quickcrete, probably this little gap right here. There is the bottom threshold jamb here as well, and other metal fixtures, but this will go ahead and get mounted up within this aperture, and that should happen in the next couple days. So on the outside today, more siding and stuff is done, but we've started to do a bunch of stuff here on the inside for HVAC. So we've already talked about HVAC, this mini split that's going in here. That has been wired with that fuse disconnect that we showed in the last video, as well as the plumbing for that will be on the exterior of the building because they're going to connect the heat pump to the actual head unit. The other thing we haven't talked too much about is our heat reclamation pump. So one of the things we're doing to increase efficiency for those codes and for general efficiency of the building in terms of saving money and energy is to install a heat reclamation pump or heat reclamation conditioner. That's going to be a machine that's going to be mounted on this wall, and you'll see some ducting here in the ceiling. So how this system basically works is it takes ambient air from the building, passes it through the system, recovers the heat energy that's stored in that air, whether it's warm air or cool air, and then uses that to heat or cool fresh air coming in from the outside, and it will dump that back into the building. Now what that does is make sure that, especially with buildings that are to be new construction and quite airtight, that we get fresh, healthier air into the building, but also that heat energy we've put into the airspace in here isn't lost as we cycle the air through the building, and you don't have to put as much energy into heating and cooling. There's a difference between this and an exchanger. This machine is actually going to reclaim the heat energy in the air. Some will just exchange fresh air with conditioned air to just get fresh air into the building, and then that system is not as efficient because you're just losing the heat energy that you've already put in through paying to run your HVAC. So how does that system actually work? Well, it pulls up ambient air through this duct. It's going to pull that air down here into the machine. Heat energy is reclaimed from that ambient air, and that ambient air is pumped out through that one. Fresh air then comes in from the outside. It takes up that heat energy, goes into this duct, and that duct flows down there, and it's dumped back out into the building. So we get fresh air. That fresh air takes on some heating or cooling, and we get to cycle that into the building, making our HVAC a little bit more efficient and ensuring we get nice clean air all the time flowing through the shop. Now these systems are usually placed in an attic or in a crawl space or something. Ours will be mounted right here. We'll have some ducting tubes, and that's kind of a necessary evil with how the shop is laid out. A couple of things we do have. We have a thermostat here. They'll be able to kick that on and off as we're running the HVAC, but also this entire system is going to be on a switch lockout. Plan for that is if I'm doing sanding or anything that's creating a lot of fine dust, I'll be able to turn that system off. I can turn off the HVAC to be sure I'm not pulling up any sawdust into those filters and not having to change them as quickly. What's up, everybody? It's a hot one today, end of another week. Lots of stuff done. I'm just going to head inside in a second, see what we're working on to get things ready for the next big steps, and a little update on a few things. But let's check out the outside just briefly to show you what we've done. So we are now completely done with siding and soffits. That's all completed, and we are ready and awaiting details and paint for the outside. So that's what we've done on the outside. We also passed our inspection. So we just had a framing inspection, which not only was the actual framing on the inside, but all the siding and different layers that had to be done to protect the exterior of the building. And they were leaving the very top of the siding off so that they could look at what layers were underneath that. That was approved, went swimmingly, really easy. They came out, checked it off, so everything looks good. We can move forward on the inside. So Baker's working hard here. Thanks, buddy. Don't work too hard, okay? Let's head in the shop. As you can see, we've got everything kind of situated here out of the shop. These are all the electrical lights and smoke alarms and the fixtures. More of these guys Baker's checking things out. Flammable cabinet, rotary converter, dust collector. But in here, now they've covered the floor with some protective guard of X-board, as the next step that we're having will be two things. One, it'll be putting in this door right here, which will be going in here. They have to pour some Quickcrete to fill in that little gap right there. But beginning on Monday, we're gonna be doing insulation. So we're gonna be insulating and drywalling the inside here to really bring it up to that residential standard and also have a nice clean space. We're gonna paint the walls white, so it'll be really bright and nice in here. So they're gonna come in and do pack insulation, all this. The insulator's already been out here. I'm not sure if you can see, filling in all the little holes between all the electrical wires, the ducting that have been run for HVAC. So those have all been filled in. They're gonna come in here and start insulating. We're gonna do pack insulation, drywall, which will obviously certain help for energy efficiency, but also for sound. The other two things we're doing are on these two walls, this one and this one. So I mentioned this in one of the early episodes, but because this back wall and this long wall here are closest to the property line, we just want to be extra courteous to our neighbors and have a little more sound insulation. So in addition to the standard pack insulation that we're putting in, we also are doing double thick drywall. So we 2 sheets of 1/2-inch thick drywall with green glue in between. Green glue is basically a glue that doesn't spread out. It leaves air gaps between the 2 drywall pieces. And because that air gap doesn't conduct sound, the vibration passes and dissipates as it gets deeper from drywall, air gap, insulation, exterior. So we should have really good sound insulation on the 2 neighbor facing walls, and then quite good sound insulation regardless of what wall we're on, because we're doing insulation, general, and drywall. So that's where we're at right now. Insulation, drywall will be happening next, and then mudding and taping and painting hopefully soon after that. Give you an update on everything they captured in the last week here on the Shop Built.